Hello, my name is Abraham Klein, and this is Yinzer Club. All right, and we want to welcome you to another program here on Yinzer Club. And you might be wondering, why does he have these sunglasses? And the answer is, there's no reason. I bought them at the dollar store, thought they were really nice, and figured I'd add them into the show today. Anyway, moving along, we have an interview coming up with a gentleman by the name of Dan Roboski. He heads up a nonprofit organization known as Kai's Legacy. Kai's Legacy is named after his late son, Kai, who, we'll get into all that. But anyway, it's a nonprofit organization that helps give scholarships out to students out of the Homer Center High School out of Homer City, Pennsylvania. But before we get into that, I want to give a huge congratulations. Not that they really even know who I am, but a big shout out and a congratulations and a happy birthday to the KDKA AM 1020 station out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. KDKA turns 100 years old as of November 2nd, 2020, and we have every reason for those of us who are in podcasting or broadcasting or television or any type of, I guess you could say, vocal or visual media. We owe a lot to KDKA, as they are the first commercial radio station to ever exist, and they came out of Pittsburgh. And I'm going to read just now the first line read over the airwaves 100 years ago, November 2nd, 1920. It says, "This is KDKA of the Westinghouse Electrical and Manufacturing Company in East Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We should now broadcast the election returns." And so those words were made by a gentleman by the name of Leo Rosenberg 100 years ago, November 2nd, 1920, making it the very first radio broadcast, commercial, I should say, radio broadcast in all of history. Of course, for many years before that, they've been doing different types of trying to broadcast and figure out radio waves and all that science that I don't understand. But a big day, which led to leaps and bounds of what would become radio. Again, they didn't really know what they were going to do with it. I've heard stories of how they would bring people off the street and say, "Hey, you want to say something on the radio?" There were people who would read the comics out of the newspaper as like some of the first shows on the radio, and just different little things they did when they had no idea what to do with it. And but by KDKA doing their little live program of giving the election returns in 1920, which I think they were, I think they made sure they were done in time. Yeah, huge night, huge day that was 100 years ago. And here we are now, 100 years later. Not only do we have radio, you have internet radio, you've got XM, you have satellite radio, you have television, you have streaming services, you have podcasts like this online that you can watch and listen to. It's just amazing how far technology has brought us. But of course, we owe a lot to those pioneers, if you will, who way back in the day started it all. And it's a Yinzer thing. Broadcasting as we know it today started on KDKA, and amazing how far it's come. But a big congratulations to them. Now, KDKA made several firsts in the radio industry, several radio firsts, and there's a huge list here, but I'll try to go through some of them here, and then we'll move on to the next segment of the program. But first of all, obviously the first one, November 2nd, 1920, KDKA, pioneered broadcasting station of the world, begins operation on that day. January 2nd, 1921, the first church service broadcasting from Calvary Episcopal Church happens on that day. January 15, 1921, the first president to speak on the air, Herbert Hoover, broadcasts live from the Duquesne Club. Now, he was not president at that time, but he was the first person who would be a president to ever speak on the radio, and that was Herbert Hoover. Then you have first broadcast from a hotel. KDKA heard in Canada for the first time as of February 18th, 1921. First broadcast of a presidential inaugural address. Herbert Hoover, 1921. I don't believe it was Herbert Hoover who was elected in 1921. Either way, we continue. March 18th, 1921. First reproduction of a radio on loudspeaker broadcast of the Rotary Club of Pittsburgh. Let's move on a little bit. First downtown studio is erected in Pittsburgh Post Building. That'd be September 20th, 1921. We have the October 5th, 1921, the first World Series broadcast transmitted directly from the Polo Grounds in New York, play-by-play by Grantland Rice. And first live symphonic broadcast, guest Philadelphia Symphony on January 22nd, 1922. March 12th, 1922, William Jennings Bryan gives his first ever radio address over KDKA. Then we see November 2nd, this is 2 years after the first broadcast. We see KDKA signals can be heard for 5,000 miles, picked up on board a ship off the coast of Peruvian, South America. So that's a pretty big deal right there. February 12th, 1923, first radio drama presented by the KDKA cast from the Carnegie Tech's Drama School. March 1st, 1923, first daily organ recital given live from Cameo Theater. And let's just go down to the last one here for now. December 31st, 1923, first transcontinental radio voice broadcast picked up in Manchester, United Kingdom. So, just so many firsts. It lists several, probably close to like 20, 25. I didn't count them all. But certainly a lot of firsts done by Pittsburgh's own KDKA, 1020 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so, yeah, they started it all. So, as a broadcaster myself, more low-key than I guess many of the people on KDKA and other broadcasters out there. But still, they paved the way for what we have today, and we are certainly thankful for that. Definitely don't want to forget where we've come from to where we are today. So, happy birthday to KDKA, and now let's move on to the interview with Mr. Dan Rabowski. Hello, Yinzers. My name is Abraham Klein, and today I'm here with Dan Rabowski. He is one of the founders of Kai's Legacy. He is actually the father of a young man by the name of Kai Rabowski, of whom we'll be talking about today with Kai's Legacy. So, Mr. Rabowski, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. Glad to finally catch up with you.
Yeah, it's been a little while. We've been trying to do this for months now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then I guess tell a little bit about who Kai was and his legacy.
Well, Kai was our son. He was killed in 2016 at the hands of a drunk driver. And so why we're here talking today is because what we did through the healing process ourselves, and frankly because we wanted to find a way to memorialize him, was to establish a scholarship in his name that would benefit his peers and future graduates of his high school, Homer Center, junior, senior high. And so Kai was a bit of a basketball player, a good student, a great kid, a very loving person, and looked out for his peers. As I've heard from so many stories from people over the years telling me about their interactions with him. And so we wanted to make sure that we memorialized him appropriately, and so we established a scholarship in his name so that could carry forward and be a benefit to our future, the graduates of Homer Center. And we set up and have for a few years now done 3-on-3 basketball tournaments to essentially feed the scholarship to extend its longevity.
Okay. So
tell me a little bit about. I don't want to open up old wounds or anything like that.
That's okay.
But
I'm pretty open about
okay,
these kind of things, so
fine.
you can go ahead.
Yeah. So take me back to that time when you first heard about what had happened and like your first reactions, and then how did it come about that you guys ended up deciding, hey, we want to do this thing where we memorialize him and stuff like that.
Well, taking you back to the moment, it's just the most earth-shattering shock I could possibly imagine to basically to wake up to finding out that your child has been killed. It's not something I could put the right words to let you know how and what that feels like, but unfortunately many of us can relate from our own perspectives. That's heavy stuff. But you know what is strange is we almost knew right away that something we would do to remember and memorialize him would be related to a scholarship. We had no idea how to do that or what that means or anything. We just, in conversation, almost instantly we're looking at scholarship options because it just made sense and seemed an appropriate way to represent him and also give back to our community. We always said that it takes a community to raise a child, and always parented that way, and frankly still do. So it was important to us to give back to that community because, one of the things that that we experienced at least, and I hear is rather common, is when things like this happen, a lot of people give monetarily. And, the idea is to help the family have at least as little financial impact as possible, and also to say, hey, we're thinking of you and we are there with you and we're going through this with you and we have your back. And we had things in place so that in the event of something unfortunate like this, we're fairly well protected financially. So not to take away from that, we felt very honored to have so many people reach out and give so much to try to help, that we're kind of faced with that question: what do we do with this money now?
Yeah.
And so that's where we ended up on the scholarship, and why we ended up on the scholarship, because then we could give back to those that were giving to us and hopefully magnify it and make it become something that would not only remember our son but also help to benefit the community and all of us, as a whole.
Yeah.
Hopefully for generations down the road,
Absolutely.
So that's, I may have lost my train of thought, but that's how we ended up here and what we ended up doing. And as we were kind of throwing around different things that we would do, we've done some volunteer work, on his birthday, and we've and just throughout life, and we have, of course, the scholarship set up, and then we have the tournaments, the basketball tournaments that we'd set up to feed the scholarships. So we're around and we're active and we're keeping ourselves busy and kind of helping to hold each other up through that time too, through the process too.
Yeah. You mentioned you guys received some nice monetary donations as a result of his death, and then you decided you wanted to use that towards scholarships and stuff like that. When did you guys finally decide, hey, we're going to do the 3-on-3 basketball tournament? That was
in conversation fairly early too, because it was a big part of his life. He loved his team. He loved playing, and he loved being out there with them. And I think also loved the way you establish almost a brotherhood when you're involved in athletics like that.
Yeah.
Kai wasn't the starter or the best player on the field, unless you ask me, or on the court.
Yeah.
But he was a huge part of the team's heart. He always was cheering on his teammates, and he was always trying to make the whole team, focused on that and upbeat. He was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So the 3-on-3 tournaments, whenever that came up, it was like almost natural. We said, yes, this is what we're going to do. This is a great way to do it, for us to be able to memorialize him in a way he would feel was appropriate, and something that I think he would have participated in if he were here. And we set it up. We shoot for mid-May traditionally. Obviously, with everything going on lately, everything's so in question. You never know what the heck you're going to actually be doing next week. But traditionally, we try to stick with that mid-May time frame, because that's right when he was killed, is in the middle of May. So the idea behind that, from a family standpoint, is it keeps us active. It gives us a focus. It gives us something that we basically have to do, So it keeps your hands busy and your mind a little bit idle and focused on pushing that ahead. So it kind of helps us all just roll through that terrible anniversary for us each year, and make a little bit of noise and play some games and give out some prizes, and just sort of try to extend the life of the fun,
Yeah. So tell me about the first 3-on-3 tournament you did. You've done about, what you said, 3 so far?
We've had 3 under our belt so far. Should have had one this year, but
right,
life changed in a hurry for all of us.
Indeed it did. Yeah. So tell me about that first one. What was that like? Was there a lot of nerves involved as far as making sure it turns out right? And of course, by that point, it had probably been about a year since Kai had passed away.
Yeah, that was a year after,
Wow. So that had to be even emotionally difficult.
Well, naturally. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm referring to when I talk the way I just was. We did this to ourselves on purpose. So we wanted to have, especially with that first one, something to focus on, something to do to keep us moving past that anniversary date. And it's the perfect fit. It represents Kai properly. It is noisy and somewhat obnoxious and all of those different types of things that any teenage boy would have been in the first place.
Right.
And it's active. We run this thing completely on volunteers, or as completely as you can call it. There are certain things you have to do a contract with, but so that first one, from an emotional standpoint, it was really something, because not only are we going through this first time around of how do we get past this date, but also we're going through how all these people are surrounding us, helping us, making sure that no matter how tough we thought we were, when we start to fall over, there's a couple hands pushing us back up and keeping us moving. And it just was, that was a very emotional experience, the first one, and it was crazy successful, and really has set the tone for where we've gone from there. And then each year has had their own individual flavor, I guess I would call it. The second year a little more upbeat, a little further away from the actual date, and well, we've done it once, so it's a lot easier once you get something under your belt too.
Yeah, sure.
And then of course third year, and
at
some point here, hopefully talking about fourth year and fifth and so forth.
So I think the first time we attempted to set up this interview, we were probably within 2 months of it.
Yeah, we were real close.
And at that point, we were pretty sure that this might happen. And then eventually it did not. How did that go? Because I've seen, because there are, I've since watching other events where they were like, okay, now we're going to be doing it with this only amount of people, and then and then eventually it just ended. What happened there with you guys?
For us, it really it didn't take a whole lot of deliberation. We were kind of on this anyway. I'm certainly not here to get into my own philosophies on the virus and everything that's going on in our lives right now. But for us, it was more just it seemed like it was going to be hard to host it anyway, even if there was some way to operate within restrictions or try to keep risk as minimal as possible.
Right.
You're never talking about zero. You're never talking about it being able to be completely safe for all involved. And so for us, again, being that this is a living memorial for us, essentially, I couldn't possibly hold it and then hear that somehow something that, at that time, keep in mind, we didn't even really know what the heck we were dealing with yet. It was just brand new. So we called it kind of early there, anticipating that was where it was going to need to end up. And as things progressed, it looked like we wouldn't really have had a choice anyway. So
yeah, right.
There could have been thoughts about changing venue and things like that, but we really wanted to, and to this given instant, would prefer to keep it within the school, because it does ultimately, it is a scholarship event, so our goal is to keep it there within the school, but we will see what the new reality is as we come.
Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of decisions we have to make between here and when we would have our upcoming tournament date.
Yeah, and actually, I was gonna mention that is that as time goes on, we don't really know what next year's going to look like. We hope that clock strikes midnight on December 31st, and oh great, virus is gone, everything's
gone.
fine.
Yeah,
we're all back to full capacity, no more masks, no more anything like that. But unfortunately, life doesn't really work like that.
No, it doesn't. No.
So how are you guys potentially preparing for what could happen in the future?
Right at this point, we're just going to see what it presents as we go. Right now, I have to unfortunately say everything's uncertain. There's limitations within the schools. There's limitations within any gathering right now, and I'm just not sure, or I guess we're not really sure or decided as to how we'll proceed. Ideally, like you said, we go all the way back to what we used to consider normal, and we just do it again sometime in the near future. But at this given instant, we're just not sure what it's gonna even mean at that point. So I imagine we'll probably get through the upcoming months, see how everything's going, just like everybody is, and ultimately, as we're coming into 2021, I'm sure we'll be discussing, okay, how are we going to do this thing? But right now, today, it's just get through today,
Yeah, absolutely. So getting back to the normal days, when one would attend one of those 3-on-3 tournaments, what was basically a person comes in, what do they see? What was it like at the event? Or how did the calendar of events, I guess you could say, go?
Well, we have it set up so that we're playing ball basically from 8 in the morning till whatever end point it might be. We set a 5 o'clock as goal, and actually we've ended a little early each year because of how the brackets worked out. They come in and see a whole bunch of Kai paraphernalia, and we do a wristband for each year's. There's like a new version each year, so there's those to grab. There's a ball to sign. There's a T-shirt. There's different ways of throwing some extra money at something at our fund, so that we can also see his name running around out and about on the road and stuff like that too. So it's pretty fun. We handle everything from concessions to the basketball, to the games themselves, to the whole way through. We have a whole bunch of volunteer refs that have done an incredible job for us, and courtside volunteers, and concessions volunteers, and the whole 9 yards. So it's just a humming machine, So that's what you would expect coming in, and you have we've gotten to the point where there's quite a bit of good competition going on. I wondered how that would end up. When you're doing something that hasn't been around for a while, you don't know what you're going to see in participation. And boy, I'll tell you, we've been pleased with seeing how it's been growing over the years. And couple of those brackets are pretty darn competitive. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see that too. There's a lot of talent out there.
Yeah. So with that, is it like single elimination? Is it double elimination?
Double. We do double elimination.
elimination.
Yeah, we did want people to not have to. Yeah, we want people to be around and playing and talking and whatever they might be doing, through the day too. So we did want to do the double elimination. I also feel like it's right to have at least 2 shots at getting to the prizes and to the win.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's set up as a double elimination tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with that, then do the teams I don't know because I've been to different tournaments and stuff like that. Do they come up with names and then?
Oh yeah, some pretty creative ones to say the least. Yeah, definitely. We've got a lot of. My son Kai was he was a smart alecky kind of kid. I guess most of us were. But he especially had a gift for being able to twist words around and make people laugh and kind of be a little bit of a clown. And it's been really fun to see all the team names come in, especially from some of the ones that were a little closer to him, because they seem to hold on to that and throw some little funny references and stuff at their names. So it's that keeps it pretty light and keeps you chuckling through the day a little bit, when you're announcing who's progressing and who's been eliminated and things like that. So yeah, that's been fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So then, what was I trying to say? So yeah, during the games, for the teams, I should say, when they sign up, how much does that usually cost? And about how many usually do sign up?
How many different teams?
Yeah.
We've had in that 50 neighborhood, 40, 50 neighborhood, pretty regular, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. I may be rounding up a little bit. I'm sure Jen will correct me. But we've had a nice amount of participation is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
One area I'd love to see more coming out would be the girls leagues. The 7 through 9, and then the 10 through 12. It'd be nice to see some of that work out. There's always a schedule conflict. Those girls the athletic girls are really active. Yeah. And I'd definitely like to see those brackets grow a little bit more because. Hey, girls are intense. Everybody looks at the guys and they're like, "Hey, that's the bracket." Heck no, I don't ever want to have to play basketball against a 6th grade girl. I can tell you that right now.
No, I've back when I was a school bus driver, I used to take the girls basketball team to different games. I was like, man, these girls are intense.
Yeah, they're intense. So that's a special area of focus there. Yeah. I think I digressed this a little bit, but.
But yeah, and I guess the one thing I forgot to ask you was about how is it broken up?
Oh, how does it work? We've been charging a $40 entry fee. We want to keep it as low as possible, but everybody that's on a team receives a T-shirt, and has a shot at the cash prizes and things like that. So we do have to maintain, a certain level to cover costs. Mm-hmm. But we didn't want to make it out of reach for young people to be able to jump in if if they don't happen to have a whole bunch of money sitting around in their bedrooms.
Right.
On that note, every year if there's ever a team that is interested in playing but has some difficulty coming up with the money, I have sponsors that are always telling me, please, if there's a team I can sponsor, I'd like to do so. So that's something to keep out there and in conversation. This is much more about love than it is about money.
Right. Yeah.
Money's part of it. Yes, we're trying to feed the fund and carry on our legacy of the longevity of the scholarship fund. But within that and really at the root of it is a representation of our love for our son, for Kai.
Right.
So there's a lot there. We do teams of up to 4. You have to, of course, it's a 3-on-3 structure, so you have to have at least 3, but we went with the 4th so that you could have a substitute. Yeah. We do have co-ed, also became something that was really popular, so that's fun to watch too. So we're just constantly looking at this thing and trying to keep it consistently representing what we're trying to accomplish and who Kai was and make sure that it's light enough that everybody's having a good time as well. My wife does the cooking, so she tries to also make sure we all leave with full bellies, so that's in place as well.
Yeah, so then it's broken up, I guess, according to age then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do different brackets so that a senior's not playing a sixth grader. You know, we do a 4th through 6th grade bracket, a 7th through 9th grade bracket, 10 through 12, and then what we call 18 and over adult.
Okay.
Now, we've always had people approach us each year about, okay, what do we do? Because we have a 4th grader and a 7th grader. You know, that's a case-by-case kind of basis, but, you know, typically if the team elects to play up, you don't run into it as much in the younger ages like that, but in the you know, near adult ages and high school ages, you often have some mixed teams, so we just have them play up a bracket so that, again, we don't have a 21-year-old college star beating up on a 16-year-old high school freshman so, or sophomore. So we have it set up so you're playing your peers, you know, your competition, and it's there, you know, because of where we're located, you know, you have the different schools that are seeing each other on the court anyway, so there's a little bit of that. You'll see the students from other schools coming down to kind of put their name in the hat and show their skills a little bit on a more individual scale. Yeah.
So with this having gone on now, next year will be 5 years since the scholarship has existed, and I guess the 4th tournament that you guys have had. Like, I guess by now a lot of his friends would have graduated. And tell me about some of their participation and involvement with the scholarship.
Well, geez, his peers, direct peers I'm referring to, you know, within his class, kind of reached a little bit further, you know, I guess all students do, or all kids do nowadays, or most. You know, he definitely reached a couple classes ahead of him and a few behind too, so, you know, we're really still within some people who would, I'm referring to scholarship recipients that likely had some interaction with my son. But we're getting to that point now where it's going to be more of a distant memory at the very least because of their ages. But his class especially, and I don't know all of them well enough to be able to say this one was the class before or after is why I'm saying it that way. But his peers have been so involved. They've been checking in on us on a regular basis, just personally, hey, how you doing? You know, anything I can do for you kind of thing, which is really something to see from a young person, you know. As an adult, it's one thing, but as a young person, they have so many things going on, you know, between school and athletics and trying to figure out what the heck they're doing for the rest of their lives and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool to see them take a moment and just reach out, you know, whether it be phone or text or in person, and just say, hey, how are you doing? It means something. It shows a lot of character. We've seen them volunteer with us. We've seen them run around and do what they could as far as setup goes. We've seen them help with, you know, the cooking and the cleaning and the court monitoring and the scorekeeping and things of that nature. So they've been very involved. And of course, we've also passed the point where his class graduated, so we also had quite a few scholarship recipients, you know, from his peers there as well. And a lot of them have reached back to us, which is, that's like the ultimate gratification, because you know, you do this with all these ideas in your mind of what it'll end up being, and then you have some exceptional people that you award to that show you that it's even more than you even expected. You know, I've had a couple of the recipients hit us back. You see, we do. It's primarily driven. I mean, you have to meet certain qualifications to apply. I mean, you have to be a good student. In fact, a student athlete. You have to get a little bit of recommendations. Nothing real complicated there, but just, you know, there's certain qualifications. You have to have intentions of going to a secondary education, whether it be a trade school or a college or whatever you might be looking into. And that's pretty much it. And then the winner is primarily determined based upon their essay, which we ask them the question, how are you going to make a difference? open-ended on purpose, and boy, it's something to see where a 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old mind can take that, and then to see where I was headed with this, and then to see our recipients hit us up a year or two later and say, well, I know you read, in essence, I know you read my essay. Here's what I am doing. Here's how I am representing Kai.
Nice.
Here's how I am making a difference. I can't think of something more gratifying than that, really. That's something else.
Certainly something, yeah. Have there ever been any that have truly stuck out over the years that really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. However, in good spirit of how we intend to represent this and ourselves and our son, I wouldn't call them out publicly in that fashion. I appreciate them all in their own ways. I think it's important to have the perspective of making a difference doesn't have to be defined by somebody else's impression of it. It could be, I think personally that we all make a difference in our own ways, and at times we may be able to make what some might look at as a monumental difference because maybe we have a whole bunch of extra money to throw around, or maybe we have a whole bunch of extra time or strength or friends or family, or I don't know. But maybe at other times we just simply need to be the ear that somebody needed, or the smile that somebody needed, or the joke that needed to break up the tension. And I don't really rank them in a level of importance or significance. I think they all mean something, and it's all going towards the right direction, which is to look out for each other and spread out a little love there,
Yeah. So I've had the opportunity to, of course, through Yinzer and different things like that, but even just in regular life, talk to people who have experienced tragedy, such as your family has, and how it has. They took this bad situation and ended up turning into a good situation, and have actually helped other people through it. How is that, or has it potentially changed you and helped you to develop?
Instantly. I suppose it's funny to say that about yourself, but I feel like I'm a way better person today than I even was before all this occurred, because it just really does instantly change you. Instantly. All of your hopes and dreams and everything that a parent goes through when raising a child, it's all taken out from underneath you right in a flash.
Yeah.
And you could choose to wallow in that, I suppose, and we all do at times.
Yeah.
Or you could choose to figure out how to carry it, and what we chose to do was both to figure out how to carry it, but also figure out how to maybe even help impact some others, and investing in our future, look for a way that we can maybe, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but maybe just show some others that it's something they can get through. I also have done the same thing. I've been very's not the word, but I've been involved with groups where, I've encountered so many people that have a mind-boggling number of people that have experienced very similar losses, and a friend of mine said, it helps me, helping them helps me. And when I can have a conversation with somebody, one, about my son, so thank you for asking. Please, if anybody's wondering, ask me. If you have somebody going through something like this, the biggest thing you can do, the greatest honor you can do, is to ask them about their child. As a parent, the biggest thing you fear when something like this happens is your child being forgotten. So having those hard conversations really means a lot.
Yeah.
And that's the root of everything we're trying to do with the scholarship and everything else too, is just give a way to keep him remembered and keep his name out there. And believe me, we've had a lot of reassurance that won't be a problem. His, as I said prior, his friends have reached out and shown me different ways that they're representing, and that every one of those in their own way means the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think keeping your hands busy and your mind somewhat focused on something positive is a great way to continue through it. And I think when you look around, you find some others that are looking at you and maybe needing a little bit of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's hopefully helping them. At other times, I need somebody to give me a hand, and I think that's the nature of community and the nature of love itself, is to just be able to operate in that zone and take care of each other, I think that's really what it's all about,
Yeah. But yeah, it is. I don't know. I guess in some way we've all had tragedy. It's always very important that there's somebody there can understand you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really, just me speaking personally, it's really great to see people like you who come through that and are able to not only get your help yourself, but also to help other people.
That's the goal. That's the goal. I mean, I keep saying, and I can't help but admit, there's a little, there's a focus on remembering Kai and remembering my son in everything that I do, but there's a bigger picture to it when you can look around a little bit and see others doing that, and then maybe taking it further, and you start that wave of love, of respect, of kindness, of a lot of those things that are really rather needed in today's world. Maybe sometimes forgotten too easily. So
sure.
that's very much our drive.
Okay. So I'm trying to remember if I heard you right. You have other children as well?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What has been their reaction and response to this scholarship and remembering their brother?
Well, it's been okay. So we're a crazy mixed up family, right?
Yeah.
Kai's mother and I, we split up when he was either 8 or 9. I think he was 8. And I guess it would have been 9. And he was 16 when he was killed. So we were very accomplished, I guess you would say it at that point, at parenting from 2 different households.
Yeah.
We also each mutually had daughters afterwards. So Kai had 2 little sisters all of a sudden,
Yeah.
In 2 separate households. And, also through that process, I met my wife, I got married. It's actually my eldest daughter's birthday today.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Yeah, beautiful Liz, 30 years today.
Yeah.
So we're a very blended family, and I'm so grateful for that, because it gives you I think it gives you a very different perspective of how you define family. And I think most all of us involved in my group would say that we define it in our own way for sure. But like I said, Kai had 2 little sisters.
Yeah.
Ava, my daughter, would have been, she would have been 4, maybe going on 5, and Veda, Jen, Kai's mother's daughter, would have been like 9 months older than her at the time. So they were little.
Yeah.
And that's, as a parent, one thing, you just had the rug pulled out from under you, and your son was killed, but then you have to explain that to your tiny little daughter. My goodness, I that's a perspective I don't even know how to give somebody. But they have done very well with things, as best as I can say it. They're unique girls. They're very different from each other in a lot of ways, and they're similar in quite a few as well. But they're both thriving and involved with the tournament. You'll see them ripping around. they're involved with just about everything that we do to remember him. I also hit the reset button another time and I have another son now that was born after Kai. And boy, I'll tell you, if you really want to get weird sometime, I can tell you some things that he's told me that would make you question almost everything that you believe. But he's also, over a brother he's never physically met, very involved in remembering and focusing and saying his name and things that you do as a parent, especially in trying to carry on a name, and I think that's really neat to see. He's something else, my little guy.
Yeah.
The girls are probably. Oh, well, don't let me skip my eldest daughter. I mean, she's our rock. She just is our workhorse. She shoves us through, makes sure everything gets done, and if we're slacking, she's always picking it up for us, and I'm so grateful for her. But the little girls, Veda and Ava, talk about somebody that can give you hope to see somebody that's gone through something so drastic at such a tender age and be able to turn it and thrive and do what they do, and they're both involved in Girl Scouts and in many other community events and organizations and things like that too, and it's pretty awesome. You see Kai and them on the regular, and that's it's one of those things that just stabs you, but it also is so, I'm not sure if hopeful is the word or whatever. It gives you that reminder, and it's like an icy hot kind of thing,
Yeah, for sure.
But they're doing very well and have, and I hope and think very much along the lines of what and how he operated. I imagine that this will somehow prepare them for something down the road where they're encountering somebody that's experiencing something, unimaginable, and hopefully they can be a little bit of a sounding board for them or whatever that individual needs, and I believe that they will.
That's good.
So they're doing good.
Yeah. Taking a little bit of time, but that's fine. It's been a good conversation.
For sure.
Yeah. In closing, well, first of all, what would you say is Kai's Legacy? That's the name of the scholarship.
Kai's Legacy? Well, Kai's Legacy is it's love in its ultimate, simplest form. That's what it is. Kai's Legacy was established with love, has been maintained with love, and is designed to spread that further. Directly through impacting our future with the recipients of the scholarship, ultimately being the people that are going to shape that future. One thing we've certainly seen in their responses with their essay questions is that theme as well, that community awareness, that love for one another, that like I referenced earlier, is really something that's needed in today's world, where we're so distant from one another, So I'd say in its purest form, that's what it is. It's also, how we have a way to represent and reference everything we're doing to memorialize Kai. It gives us the way to speak his name a little extra and have other people aware of his name and who he was, and tell his story and hopefully hear a few back. That's what Kai's Legacy is. It's also our website, just so you know, kaislegacy.com.
Well, I was going to mention that actually in closing. If people would like to learn more, if they'd like to get involved, if they'd like to be a part of the tournament, all that other stuff, how can they get in? How can they get a hold of you guys?
Easiest way, I mean, we're all pretty accessible, but the easiest way for people to know what's going on and what we're doing or what we're up to or what we're planning is through our website, which is kaislegacy.org. It's just KAIS legacy.org. I try to keep that, and we try to keep that up to date. I can't say that I'm totally perfect. I don't do that I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But we try to put up there not only what we've done, just so that people have some ways of, pointing and clicking to a memory and maybe even a reference, but also there's links to how to donate directly. There's links to the Community Foundation of the Alleghenies if you want to know more about them. There's links to all the events we've done. There's links to the school, to CORE, the Center for Organ Recovery, just everything that surrounds this thing, basically is all driven from that website. Now, we're all also active on Facebook and on Instagram and things of that nature. And you can call me on my cell if you want. But we're out there and about. But probably the easiest way to know the most is to go to the website.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I thank you for the conversation. It's been been a great time. And maybe we'll have you on again sometime.
I hope so. As we know more about when we're nailing down the date and how we're doing things going forward, I hope to get together with you, and we'll make sure to get that out.
And hopefully it won't take 4 or 5 months to...
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Abraham Klein here today talking with Dan Roboski about Kai's legacy. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe to it, to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you folks have a great, Yinz. Have a great day.
All right, well, that's our program. We want to thank you so much. Yes, you, individually. Thank you for watching today's show or listening to it. I know there's many different platforms he puts this on. But if you did, please be sure to like it and share it. Let other people know about this awesome program. And also go on to idiotradio.net. If you're already there, you can check out some of the other programs, like the Todd DeFazio Show, the Double D and Triple B Heavyweight Podcast, the Triple B Experience, Inquisitive Minds, the Greenfield's Finest, other shows that he may have added by now. I'm not even sure. So much great content on idiotradio.net. And, of course, Yinzer Club. Check out the next episode. We hope that you certainly do. Lots of great interviews and other stories that we'll be putting on there. Also, go to idiotradio.net and check out some of the great merch. The Yinz Have a Great Day hat, the Yinz Have a Great Day shirt, which I'm not wearing, but it's this color or other colors, depending on what you choose. We also have the Yinz Have a Great Day polo shirt, just great way to show your Yinzer Club pride and just your Yinzer pride in general. So, also don't forget to go on to yinzerclub.com and check out all the other merch. We got great merchandise, shirts, and other stuff there too. So anyway, we want to thank you so much for watching and hope you'll join us again next time for our next episode. And until then, Yinz have a great day.